Let me share my screen and let me try to summarize the preliminary findings of our project, the survey and the legal study findings. A little bit, this introduction is misleading because the legal study findings are not summarized here. I struggled a bit with visualizing the findings, but first of all, I was a bit more relaxed, having known that Gisela will present some of their findings in terms of law. Second, as I said, we are just exploring this area and our legal studies to uncover the legal framework as well as later the implementation of child rights in environmental and climate matters has just begun last November. So we are still exploring, I would say. And I will say a few words about what we found, but I think this will not be a novel issue for you. However, you may be interested in our survey findings better than the legal ones. The surveys, let me just close this window. Yes, the survey was, as I mentioned, we are present in 7 countries. The survey was managed in all the 7 countries with a very, as I would say, varying turnout in terms of the number of people who answered. As you can see, the lowest number of answers came from Austria and the highest from Bulgaria. We are very proud of this achievement. But altogether, the average is somewhere between 50 and 60. As you can see, if we take out Bulgaria, I'm sorry, I have to enter to new commerce to the conference. And the question was the stakeholders' knowledge of child rights, their experiences with child participation and the barriers they face in increasing children's involvement in environmental matters. You will see the specific questions. Definitely not all the questions are visualized here, but the most important ones. Just a footnote to this. As you can see, the governments are represented on a very low level. Definitely, their responsiveness is much lower than the civil society. And while you see that the numbers do not add up to the total, that means that these persons who answered were individuals who were not representing either NGOs or education institutions or the government. And just a story. In Hungary, there is a list of all education institutions publicly available on the website of the Ministry of Interior, actually, right now, because we don't have an education ministry. So you can have an access to all the contact details, which means it's roughly 4,500 email addresses, out of which I selected 2,500, and I have written an email to all 2,500. Even Google banned my account for 2 days after having done this. And as you can see, 12 education institutions replied from 2,500 to the call to fill in the survey. This tells a lot about the responsiveness, but also Hungary and the education institutions' approach sometimes in a country where free speech is not always rewarded. So let's go to the questions. And while most of the countries reported in a in a uniform manner, some used a different graph technique or a numeric representation or presentation of the answers. The first question, which is, I would say it's easier to visualize, is how comfortable people feel discussing child rights. It's basically an awareness issue. And you can see that the medium, the 0, is very seldom paused into the positive. um, the awareness or the comfort discussing these issues, even by education institutions, is low. As you could see, in Austria, it's more to the negative side, or which means definitely there is a certain level of awareness and certain level of comfort discussing these issues, but nobody reported that their level of knowledge is enough to be fully confident. A good example of the shortcomings is Hungary, where it's very interesting to see, and you will see on the next slide, that even teachers reporting back on their level of knowledge of environmental rights is higher than their knowledge of child rights, which should not be the case, I believe, or at least very naively in the beginning, I believed. But this is what turned out of our survey. The second question was, how comfortable do they feel discussing environmental issues and environmental rights, with special regard to the Aarhus Convention, of course. You can see here that it seems that there is more confidence, especially if you see the German bar chart, the answers, the number of answers in the 7, 8, 9 territory is really high. As I said, in Hungary, the teachers reported their better understanding of environmental rights than child rights. And as you see, Bulgaria, it's already, how to say, it's bringing up the average by having very significantly in the positive segment. We also asked how important the respondents think that environmental and climate protection is in the context of protecting children's rights. I think the answers speak for themselves. Everybody believes that this is one of the key issues. I don't think that we needed any kind of convincing for the respondents. We actually, I think after the presentations of Elisa or Benoit, I think it's very obvious that we live in a time when this is crucial. We can, of course, always neglect child rights in this context, but the facts and the limited public opinion monitored through our survey shows that it's probably not the best answer to neglect this. Its importance is coming up, and I think the next step for us is to make the legal steps and to take these rights and take these issues to the court, either through climate cases or through general environmental cases, as we heard, for instance, exposure to toxic chemicals, as Gisela mentioned. But certainly, if we lawyers want to contribute to the solution of this problem, we have to make the next step and take the legal actions. We also asked if the respondents think that children's participation in environmental and climate issues is useful. As you can see, almost anonymously, it's in the positive. It's a good sign. I would say that this is totally not a legal question. It's more like, do you think that children have a seat at the table, or can even be an active actors in these procedures and then contribute to a better outcome? Maybe those who, of course, there is always a bias. Those who respond take it more seriously, and those who take it more seriously have more sensitivity to these issues, either environmental or child rights issues, are of course more inclined to answer in the positive and give a more affirmative answer. But still, I would say this is a good sign. Even Hungary, there's very much in the positive. If you look at Austria or Germany, the answer is obvious. Everybody believes that from the respondents, or most of them, that there is a use in having children participate in environmental and climate issues. However, the question whether they themselves involve children in environmental and climate change or climate-related activities, again, the answers are more moderate or more modest. I'm not saying, or I personally believe that it's probably not because of the non-willingness of the same people who said that this is a useful thing, and then they don't do this. So probably it's not reaching some false ideas, saying that on the one hand it's useful, on the other hand, oh, let's not have to deal with this. Therefore, the answer for the negative, or I would say a very less ambitious answer, especially if you look at the Croatian average, 1.2 out of 5. I think the reason is that a lot of people don't know what should be or what would be the best venue to involve children. We also gave the chance to the respondents to, in a free flowing text, to express their ideas about involving children into environment and climate related issues and matters. Then we collected, of course, the answers, and we prepared the word cloud out of it, country by country. I was, of course, doing the Hungarian one, and I was surprised to see how, first of all, how there is not one striking word that comes out. So I would say that most of the words had kind of the equal importance or equal level of frequency in the answers. And overwhelmingly, the answers contained references to very practical actions. Planting trees, planting flowers, getting an excursion, selecting waste selectively by material. So very hardly they expressed any issue of bringing children to a public hearing of an environmental impact assessment procedure, to hear what's happening, how the future of their settlement is now being decided by decision makers by, I don't know, accepting industrial facility in the outskirts of the village or a town. I would say that the answers show that we also have, there is another probably loophole or shortcoming, is that we have to present that yes, there are legal avenues, and this is of course the work of the lawyers, and by this we have to step out of our role as a classical lawyer who is like a doctor. You see a doctor and a lawyer when you have a trouble, when you have a problem, and you visit them. Instead, I would say that our perception of our role requires us to be more active, to step out, to be more activist lawyers, and even to show to the potential possible clients that there are legal avenues without them knowing that there are, and without them approaching us and asking for service. Otherwise, I would say that too few people will use the legal avenues either for environmental and climate issues or for involving children into these crucial matters. As I mentioned, first of all, thank you for your attention, and as I see, I kept the time perfectly. I get a pat on my shoulder. But secondly, just a few sentences about the summary of the legal surveys which we did, is that there are very few countries which have special legislation on child rights, especially regarding their constitutional rights. I think Austria, Bulgaria are the ones, but all the other countries are rather use the general umbrella legislation or umbrella provisions of the Constitution to say that, yes, of course, children are also covered. Not specifically, but yes, of course, we understood it. We also understood them by saying everyone or anyone. I think we have already passed that stage. I don't think that it's enough. So most likely our final finding will be that this is not enough for the time being or currently. The second issue is, which is very close to the area of expertise we are dealing with, is the Aarhus Convention, whether there are any specific mentions in the transposition of the Aarhus Convention into domestic law on children. And of course, there isn't, not saying of course, but as a matter of fact, there isn't. This also needs to be I would say, improved or changed or amended. And if I have the chance, if I get the chance in the Q&A section to express myself, then I'd like to bring you an example how this may happen in the future.